everyone, Sophia here. Welcome back to my Etsy shop. I have 7 new items to show you, which will be live in the shop tomorrow at 5 p.m. That would be Friday, May 23rd. And I have to tell you, some of these items are quite something. And I say that every week, but for real, okay? Let me start with the first one that's in the thumbnail, because I didn't even know this collection existed. If you are a teapot collector or just love unusual decorative teapot, though this one you can use as a regular teapot. This is a highly collectible and highly sought after teapot. Behold the English Garden collection by Lenox. So I don't know too much about this collection. What I can tell you is that for some reason it reminds me of the one collection they did with all the spices, which by the way they reissued. Barbara, I'm thinking about you. This is super cute. It reminds me of the Crystal Palace in England. When I went to visit England in 1984, it was the first time I ever took a plane, and it's the first time I went away from home on my own. It was an exchange program. So I ended up in Stockport, out of all places in England, because that was a twin city for where I used to live in south of France. And the family who hosted me decided to go on a road trip, and we landed by the beach, I think. I know we went to the beach, and there was this thing that I believe was the Crystal Palace. I'm not sure, but it was very similar. Huge, massive, humongous greenhouse, all in white, looking pretty much like this. And I remember it had roofs that looked like this, and it had big glass windows, and of course it was tropical plants, butterfly gardens, and all of that good stuff in it. So this is a teapot that just reminds me of the Crystal Palace in England, and it says at the bottom, Lenox, the English Garden collection, 1994. So I can't say I don't have any call outs on it, because I do have one, but you can't see it on the outside. Here's the call out. There's a little bit of a chip right here on that little part of the lid that keeps the lid from falling. All right, you know, which the notch basically. So there's a little bit of a chip right here on the notch. It devalues it, I understand that, but on the outside it is absolutely perfect. There's no crazing. The design is still there. This is a transfer wear. The crown right here is in perfect condition. There's been no repair. The spout, what we always look for, is in perfect condition. There's really nothing on the outside, and when I purchased it, I didn't, because it was tape, I didn't realize there was this little piece right here that was missing. To me it's not a big deal, but if you are an avid collector of those teapots and that's the one you were looking for, that may be a big deal to you. So obviously I'm gonna have to discount it, but it is super cute, and my understanding is that it's kind of rare. Not a lot of people have it right now, and I don't know how many they made. I suspect they may have made something like 8 different ones under the English Garden collection, but not sure. I've seen other ones. This one I've seen it only once online through another seller. So this is your opportunity to get it. Very pretty decorative teapot if you collect them. And then it's a teapot for one, basically, because it really only makes 1 cup. It's small. Let me give you measurements on it. It's about 6.5 long, and it's tiny. It's 4.5 wide and about 4.5 tall. All right, so 1994 Lenox English Garden collection, super cute, and it says handcrafted in Malaysia. So this is post the time when Lenox was still making things in the US. This one's made in Malaysia. Isn't it pretty? I love the little doop right here. It just gives it charms. But the prettiest part to me is the lid. Okay, so that's item number one. Item number two is going to be an antique. So when I come back, we're going to talk flint glass. This is the find, okay? This is the absolute find. So there was a company, an American company called New England Glass Company. And they only lasted from 1818 through 1888. And it comes out of Cambridge, Massachusetts. And they basically folded because of the competition. By the time 1880s, 1890s came, there was so many companies in the US that were making their own glass, and they started making colored glass. New England Glass Company really focused on clear glass, and they couldn't, for some reason, didn't make the jump into colored glass, and then later carnival glass, painted glass, frosted glass, mill glass, all of that. They didn't do any of that. They did what was called flint glass. And flint glass was pretty much invented in the mid 1600s. Basically, you take, they use potash, right, as part of the glass making. And some of the areas, in particular in England, if you think about the Dover cliffs, right, they're not all white chalk, there's flint in it. And in Normandy is the same thing. And matter of fact, as a tidbit, my house in Normandy, the entire gravel was flint. You could go like this and it would smell like fire and it would make sparks. I have a few pieces upstairs in my little music box, my childhood music box. Neither here nor there. They use that chalk to make the glass, and there were pieces of flint in it which melted. And what it did is that it provided the glass with just about 6% lead. Gave it clarity, gave it a higher refraction, and a higher diffusion. Back in the 1660s, 17th century, that's the kind of glass that was considered high-end glass. And by the way, this is actually flint glass was the precursor to crystal. Crystal was made at a later time in England, I believe, and that one reached a higher percentage of lead. Flint glass starts at 6%, but it was so much clearer than the regular glass, and it also has a ring to it. So you think it's crystal, but really it's not. It's flint glass. So you want to see the piece, right? Because I have here a piece of New England flint glass from the 1880s. And this is called a sawtooth compote. Now, when they fold those companies, what happens is that a lot of other companies, including Westmoreland, would buy the molds. This is early American pressed glass, also referred to as EAPG. A lot of companies would buy the molds. So when I saw this, I said to myself, oh, that looks like a Westmoreland sawtooth, but it's not. First of all, Westmoreland started stamping their pieces back in the 1940s. And Westmoreland's clear glass, they didn't do a lot of clear glass. They were mostly colored glass and mill glass. Didn't have this ring. So I did a little bit of research, and sure enough, this is a sawtooth pedestal compote by New England Glass Company dating back to the 1880s. This is a museum piece and it's in perfect condition. There's absolutely no collage on this. I can't say anything about it. There's no scratch, there's no chip, there's no discoloration, nothing. It's a mitered diamond pattern. And the beauty of it, when you really look at it closely, you can see those mitered diamonds, right? They're getting smaller as you get to the pedestal. So what it means is that depending on where the light hits it, I'm moving my, look at that. Can you see all the diffusion and refraction on this. It's an absolute beautiful piece of glass, and it's a piece of glass that is American history. They added this part to the bowl, right? The mold is not this whole thing. This is attached later on, and there's a little bit of a punt all the way on the inside, and then this is the part right here. It's also a punt. Puntee, I call it a punt, where they hold it, right, when they bring it over. You get the idea. So it looks like it's a defect, but it's not. It's basically how they made it. So that's how you know that this is an old piece, because you have things like this, a little punt right here, and then there's one all the way at the bottom where they were holding it. This is absolutely stunning. It's a beautiful piece. It's a collector's item, a very early American pressed glass. Do you see the refraction on it? So it almost looks like crystal. Matter of fact, let me show you something very similar that is much more modern, because this mitered corner is a common pattern in clear glass. Okay, so this is 1880. This is 1980. This is French Cristal Dark. It's coming up next week. And this is its grandfather. Right? So this is 24% lead crystal. This is 6%. I don't know if you can tell the difference, but that's a common pattern. It's a beautiful piece. New England Glass Company, flint glass, sawtooth compote, and the teeth are perfect. I think this piece has been passed down and put in curio cabinets pretty much its entire life. There's barely any scratching at the bottom. God, it's such a pretty piece. Okay, could be yours. So we're going to stay into clear glass, and I'm going to show you something that I know some of you collect, and I'm talking about Candlewick. Candlewick Imperial glass, sugar and creamer with its tray. Not expensive. It was probably the second or third most popular pattern created by Imperial Glass. Imperial Glass started in Bel Air, Ohio, in around 1901. And it has an interesting history, actually, because the guy who invented or created the company, or founded it rather, was the riverboat captain. But he absolutely was fascinated with glass making, tableware, all of that. And he had quite a bit of money when he retired as the riverboat captain. So he decided to get a bunch of financiers with him, and he opened the Imperial Glass Company in 1901. That's when he created it. They didn't start producing until 1904. And when they started producing, they were making regular tableware, things for every day. Compotes like the one I just showed you, bowls, they were making glasses, but nothing too fancy. And then they started getting really, really big. And they started making carnival glass. And carnival glass is what really put them on the map. By the time they hit the 1920s, they were pretty much the #1 glass making companies in the United States. And that was because of their carnival glass. They are also highly collectible. And then in the 1920s, carnival glass, which is, the one with the iridescence that look like peacocks basically, started to fall out of favor, and they needed to come up with something new. So in 1936, they came up with Candlewick. And Candlewick pattern was actually meant for the higher and the middle class social status. And it's called Candlewick because of this part right here that looks like a candlewick. Very easy, right? I guess they weren't too creative with the names. Candlewick ran from 1936 until 1950. That's when they stopped producing it. So this is clearly very vintage. This is either original 1936 or 1940s or very early 1950. But that's when they stopped making it, in 1950. And by the way, next week I have the matching candlestick holders. Just letting you know. So the company was purchased in 1972 by Lenox, and Lenox kept the label Imperial Glass, but really it was Lenox making it up until 1982. So most people would consider that Imperial Glass stopped making any kind of glass in the 1970s up until 1982, but I would say by 72 they were done because they were bought by another company that just happened to keep the label. They survived the Great Depression. So many glassmakers did not. They managed to survive the Great Depression. So Candlewick is perhaps one of the top 3 patterns, most popular. They made everything but the kitchen sink in that Candlewick pattern. I think the sugar bowl is absolutely darling. Okay, so you have that little Candlewick here. This is an open sugar bowl, so you can just leave the spoon in there. Super clear. And if you compare it to flint glass, this is regular glass, this is flint glass. Do you see a difference in tone? Right, this one's got a gray, dark charcoal gray in it. That's from the lead. Really cool. And then the creamer. Look at this little spout right here. The creamer is beautiful. Perfect condition. No chips, no crack, no scratches. Let me see the bottom of the... no scratches. Okay. And then it comes with the tray. Now you're often going to see it without the tray. This one is a full set. Absolutely beautiful. I love this. Candlewick by Imperial Glass. We're going to cut it in the middle and say it's from the 40s. Okay? Because they stopped in 50 and they started in 36. Sugar, creamer, and its tray. When I come back, we're going to do more clear stuff. So we're staying with American companies. This is Indiana Glass Company, and you're probably going to recognize it so much. I sold one already before in the past. I'm doing a bundle for this one because I think that it's probably better to sell them together. The very highly recognizable Sleeping Cat votive candle holder by Indiana Glass. It's hard to tell the shape of the cat, but it's a very peaceful sleepy cat, and you can put a 1.5 inch votive candle in there. If you could find the candles that already have the little plastic sleeve around it or glass, it would be better, only because it's a pain to clean. And I tell you this because when I purchased them, they still had melted candle in them, and it was a pain to clean. So find votive candles that have a cap or a cover. All right, glass would be perfect. So it's a sleepy cat, and I had one like this before, and I sold it because anything cat. But just like Bob Ross says, and you have happy trees, you want to have a friend for the happy tree. So I have a rabbit. And I'm adding the rabbit because it has a call out. The rabbit has, it's not chipped, it's a strike right here. So it's still attached to it. You see it? Okay. So the rabbit has a little of a damage. So I'm going to add the rabbit with the cat, and we're going to make it a little bundle. I think they're super cute. Same thing, 1.5 inch for the votive candle, and you can have the whole pair Now, I'm really selling the cat. I'm just adding the rabbit because I can't really sell the rabbit on its own because of the damage here. Very inexpensive, by the way. This is not crystal, this is glass. You know, if you're looking for something to make a quick gift, these are perfect. So that's the cat and the rabbit by Indiana Glass. All right, I'm keeping my two cutest for the end. Let's talk vintage mugs. You know, I'm always looking for vintage mugs. These are super cool, super cool. They're from the late 60s, early 70s. I don't know who made them. I'm going to assume it's Otagari, but you know, Otagari rarely signed the pieces or stamped them. They usually had a sticker, and very often the sticker fell off, so they're hard to identify, and to be honest, I can't find them online. Nobody has them. So we have a stoneware mug in green, dark green, with what appears to look like Japanese script, but it's not. They're not snowflake either. They're just abstract design. Okay, so I have a green one. It's 4 altogether. I have another dark green one. I hope you can see the color. Let me move my light. You see the color? Dark green. Okay. Then I have a brown one. It's the inside. They're real stoneware pottery. Okay, they are made by hand. They are not machine made. They're not molded, pressed or anything. They are handmade, and they're real pottery. And I have a what am I gonna call this? This is not orange. This is more like a rust color. So altogether, it's 4: 2 green, 1 orange rust, 1 dark brown. 4 of them. They're in super good condition, except for one of the green ones. It has a glaze chip right here. It doesn't even feel rough to the touch, but you can see it. It's right here on the rim. I believe that these are, again, these are handmade, hand painted, in Japan, late 60s, early 70s, super kitsch. Really cool. Love them. Okay, it's 4 of them. When I come back, 2 items that I absolutely would keep because they are, one is quite rare and the other one is just too cute. So there's a region and a village in Russia called Khokhloma. I'm not sure if I pronounce it well. So Khokhloma is known for its wood wares, kitchen wares, trays, plates, vases, entirely made out of wood, but also hand painted and lacquered. And they are highly recognizable for having either a red background with black and gold design, or a black background with red and gold and other color design. They've been doing that pattern or that particular style of folk art since the 17th century. So this is about as traditional Russian folk art as it gets. I here have, and I don't think this is very old, this is a Khokhloma, Russia mushroom salt and pepper shaker on its individual tray, but it's also a strawberry pattern, which I understand is really in trend right now. Everybody wants strawberry stuff. So here's the tray. So we have strawberries with leaves. It's all in, I'm going to say mustard color, green, reds on the black background, lacquered, and then the back is all red. Okay, but let's look at the salt and pepper shakers. They have the same number of holes, and they do not indicate which one is salt, which one is pepper. But these have the gold accent right here. Now look at the top. Isn't it the most darling little thing? They're super light. They're made entirely out of wood from that region. They unscrew here. Oh, they smell like wood. Actually, you know what they smell like? They smell like Russian nesting dolls. They must be coming from the same region. So here, and then here's the other one. They've never been used. Okay, there's no salt or pepper or anything in there. Personally, I would just keep them for decoration. I would not use them for the intended purpose. Plus this one has a hole right here, which if you really want to put, does this one have a hole too? No. If you really wanted to put salt and pepper in it, just put a little plug of clay or glue or whatever. So this is 2 little mushrooms. Mushrooms are still in demand, with strawberries, which is apparently the new mushroom. Okay, so it's 2 trends in one. And they come with a little tray. Isn't it the cutest thing? I think it's adorable. Khokhloma, Russian folk art. My last item. Now, I tried to look up this guy, this potter. I didn't find much on him. And there's also 2 of them with the same name. This is a piece of studio art pottery by Dan Anderson. And the Dan Anderson that I found is a pottery teacher and arts teacher at the University of Illinois. And he also has his own pottery studio. This is one of his pieces from the 80s. It's a pottery goose. I've found one online that is currently on sale or for sale for $200. Check it out. Look for Dan Anderson pottery goose and you'll see $200. It has a felt bottom right here. I don't know if he added it or if the owner of this geese or goose added it themselves. I don't want to remove it, but the signature is underneath it. And it is what I say it is, because I mean, I really checked it. It is beautiful. Look at this thing. Please check out my Etsy shop for close-up and better pictures, because I'm trying to show you right now on camera, and with the movement and my hands in the middle and me being a distraction in the background, you probably don't see too well, but it's beautifully glazed. The colors, beautiful. It's in perfect condition. There's absolutely no call out on this thing. Look at this. Okay, collector's item. Not $200. I mean, maybe it's worth $200. I'm not selling it for $200 because I think that's, to me, that's pushing it. Okay. I tell you all the time, I want you to have beautiful pieces and I want you to be able to afford beautiful pieces. I don't see anyone paying $200 for this. You know, that's just me. Anyway, this was my last item and these were my 7 items for the week. So to recap, we have a beautiful teacup by Lenox, call out on the tab. Some people won't care. We have Imperial glass candlewick that is collected by many. We have the little cat, the Indiana glass votive candle, and then for a few bucks more I'm throwing in the bunny rabbit because it's got a little damage here. I can't sell this guy, so I might as well on its own, so I might as well just put him in there. We have the mugs, 60s 70s mugs. We have this guy right here, the Khokhloma Russian mushroom salt and pepper shakers. It's so cute. And then the big banger for this week is the New England flint glass, early American pressed glass compote with the sawtooth pattern. I would absolutely keep this, and I would keep the Russian stuff because it's darling. And I already have 2 mugs. I actually bought a set of 6 mugs, and I'm keeping 2 that were damaged, so I'm keeping those. And I would keep this because I think this is really cool. All right, so tell me down below, which one is your favorite? What would you like to have? And do you collect these? Because I know a lot of people collect them. Let me show you the preview for next week. Since we're on the subject of Candle Week, I have 2. I sell them as a pair. That's the Candlewick Imperial Glass candlestick holder. But that's coming up next week. All right? So that's it for me for this week. All items will be live again at 5 p.m. tomorrow, Friday the 23rd. The link for the shop is up here and down below. Don't forget to comment. Tell me which one is your favorite. And that would be it. Thank you for watching. I will see you next week for this. Bye.